In October 1938, at about the same time the Tromp was finishing and Heemskerk was starting, the Netherlands began a class of 4 new destroyers to work with them. These were the 4 ships of the 1,628-ton Gerhard Callenburgh class. Ideally, they were a match for the big Japanese destroyers then in service, and on paper they looked kind of similar. Sticking with tradition at this point, they were to carry a float plane without a catapult or hangar. 2 points for anticipating the helicopters that are standard on ships these days, but minus 2 points for no catapult, making them awkward to use and being a fire hazard. Neither were completed with them. In the event, none were completed before the Netherlands was overrun. 1 was towed to England, where she was finished as an anti-aircraft destroyer. Did you hear that, Japan? The other 3 were sabotaged. Of them, 1 was eventually finished by the Germans, while the others were scrapped. Despite serving on opposite sides, neither survived the war. Gerhard Callenburgh was started October 12, 1938, taken over May 10, 1940, and completed October 11, 1942 in the Kriegsmarine as ZH-1. Isaac Spheres was started November 26, 1938, was towed to England May 10, 1940, and was completed May 29, 1941. ZH-1's main armament was the original 5 120mm 50 caliber guns in 3 turrets, a twin forward and a twin aft with a single super-fire ingot. She also had 2 German quadruple torpedo tubes, both on the center line. She had 4 depth charge launchers. Spheres was completed with 3 twin 4-inch dual-purpose guns, each where a 120mm mount would have been. She also had 2 quadruple torpedo tubes, both on the center line, but they were of British design. She also had 4 depth charge launchers and racks for 12 depth charges. She had Type 128 sonar. Propulsion on both was provided by 3 boilers venting to 2 funnels. These provided steam to 2 turbines, each driving a propeller, for 45,000 horsepower, giving them a speed of 37 knots. Neither ship received major modifications. Upon completion in May 1941, Spheres began escorting convoys. In September 1941, she joined Force H and escorted the Halberd convoy to Malta. In early November 1941, she was escorting the carrier Ark Royal when she was sunk. In mid-December 1941, along with other ships, she ran the Mediterranean, fighting and winning the Battle of Cape Bon, then escorting a transport to Malta, while scaring off 4 Italian battleships and 2 heavy cruisers at the Battle of First Sirte along the way, arriving at Alexandria on December 24th. In late January 1942, she set out for the East Indies, but like Heemskerk, was still crossing the Indian Ocean when they fell at the end of February, so turned around and headed to Sri Lanka. Joining the Eastern Fleet, she was then with them in April 1942 and thankfully avoided battle with Kido Butai when they raided the Indian Ocean. In late May, she headed back to England for a refit that lasted till September. With that completed, she joined the force that was set to cover the Torch North Africa invasion. At 5 a.m. northwest of Algiers on November 13, 1942, yes, that Friday the 13th, she was torpedoed by U-431 and sunk. Upon entering service in October 1942, ZH-1 was sent to the Baltic for training and experimentation. Between November 2nd and 4th, 1943, she ran the English Channel to transfer to France. Twice in December 1943, she covered the return of German blockade runners as they neared the French coast, then went back on patrol duties in the Bay of Biscay. While trying to attack the D-Day landings on June 9, 1944, her group was intercepted and she was sunk at the Battle of Ussant.